The Realme GT Master Edition and the Poco F3. These are both great budget mid-range devices that I reviewed 7 months ago, and I really like both phones. But should you buy either of them in 2022? Here are the main takeaways. The Poco F3 has the better processor, screen, and it's larger. The Realme GT Master Edition has better software, an in-display fingerprint sensor, a headphone jack, and an improved main camera. Since you can find the base models of both phones for around $280 US, which is a great value. The differences between the devices really do matter. Which is faster? Definitely the F3, but in daily use they feel equally fast. Apps open quickly, and the only noticeable slowdowns from the GT Master are minor and happen during game loading times, HDR photo processing, generally just very demanding tasks. The phones are powered by 2 different Snapdragon processors, the F3 with the 870, the Master with the 778G. Both come with either 6 or 8 gigs of speedy LPDDR5 RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. Probably. There's still conflicting info about the GT Master storage type. As far as benchmarks go, the Poco F3 easily wins. In 3D Mark Wildlife, the F3 scores 4240 compared to the weaker 2496 from the Master. Geekbench is much the same, with the F3 single-core score of 977 and multi-core score of 3205 compared to the Master's 795 single-core and 2769 multi. I went ahead and ran the CPU throttling test and 3D Mark's Wildlife stress test to see if there were any possible overheating issues. Nope, both did very well. The Poco did get noticeably hotter and use more battery, plus its performance suffered in Wildlife, with its stability being much lower than the GT Master's, but the F3's lowest score is still much higher than the GT Master's highest score. The F3 has not been known to overheat, so I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. Like I said, day to day, both phones feel equally fast, but gaming is an exception, and the Poco beats the GT Master, allowing you to play more demanding games like Genshin and Asphalt at higher detail settings than the Realme. In terms of unlocking, the F3 has a fast side-mounted fingerprint scanner built into the power button. The GT Master uses an in-display scanner that is quick, but not quite as fast as the F3. Even so, I really like in-display scanners, so I prefer the Realme. How are the screens? Still impressive. Both are full HD Plus AMOLED displays with 120Hz refresh rates and 360Hz touch sampling rates, which can be particularly helpful for gamers. If you're looking for the bigger, brighter screen, the F3 is the way to go at 6.67 inches, a max brightness of 1300 nits, and Gorilla Glass 5. The GT Master is a bit smaller and less bright at 6.43 inches and 1000 nits with Dragon Trail glass. The difference is slightly noticeable in direct sunlight, but both displays are still easily viewable. An additional feature on the GT Master is DC dimming, which without getting technical can make the screen easier to stare at low brightness levels for some people. Since I'm trying to increase my phone usage at night, this has actually been helpful. Which has the better camera? I still say the GT Master wins. From left to right, we have the stock Realme cam, GCam on the Realme, then GCam on the Poco, and the stock Poco cam. If you're wondering why I've included a GCam comparison as well, it's because GCam really helps out on both devices. The links to each GCam port are in the description. Generally, the Realme tends to output cooler pictures in terms of color temperature. The F3 really likes to push images more greenish and red. GCam really lifts the shadows for both phones, and I definitely like it. Which blueberry muffin looks more delicious? Trick question, they're raspberry. I use the main rear camera for these selfies, and I absolutely prefer GCam from the GT Master. It managed to even out this harsh lighting on my face. Same conclusion using portrait mode, even though I do look a little too blue. Using the actual selfie camera this time, and I still like what GCam is producing with the GT Master. And what an improvement over the stock camera. Same story using portrait mode with the selfie camera. If this video has been helpful so far, please give it a like, and thank you for that. Night mode shows some drastic differences. The actual color of the car is silver, like the GCam from the F3 captures, but at night the only light source is an annoyingly orange street lamp, and it makes everything look much closer to the image from the GT Master using GCam. Same story with the fire hydrants. In general, both Realme camera apps look much more natural than the Poco. Main rear camera and night mode selfie, Realme wins with better color and detail. Same goes for this front-facing selfie camera, except I think the GT Master stock camera wins. With video, the stock camera stabilization works pretty well, even at 4K, but for color, I think the F3 GCam version is my favorite. I'm not sure why the Realme struggled with exposure using the selfie camera, but it looks rough. If you want to take your videos a little further, check out these samples from Filmic Pro. The difference in color and exposure are significant, but these are easily adjustable. Here are the highest settings you can shoot at with each device. If you really want to get the most out of your cameras from either phone, you should try Motion Cam. This is raw DNG video from Motion Cam Pro, and from the main camera, you have the ability to shoot at a resolution of 4000 by 3000 on the F3 and a larger 4624 by 3468 on the GT Master. Selfie cameras at 2592 by 1940 and 3280 by 2464 respectively. That is crazy. I was able to shoot in up to 30 FPS with both phones pretty reliably, but the GT Master did drop 2 frames during one of the tests. So which is the better camera system? For stills, the Realme with GCam. For video, unless you specifically want the crazy resolutions from Motion Cam, the Poco with its more powerful Snapdragon 870 can just do more with advanced video shooting, including 960 FPS slow-mo video from the stock app. For audio, the Poco wins again due to its stereo speakers that just sound more full. The Realme's single speaker by comparison is just 210. Both are pretty loud though, and are good enough for general use, if you don't want to use Bluetooth speakers or headphones. But if you want a headphone jack, the GT Master still includes one at the bottom of the device, which has the better battery performance. The Realme, but not by much. The GT Master has a smaller battery at 4300 mAh, but with its included 65 watt charger, it can go from 1% to 100% in about 30 minutes. The F3 with its larger 4520 mAh battery, but slower 33 watt included charger, takes about 50 minutes to hit that 100%. The Poco usually last a full day and a little longer, but the GT Master can generally make it through 1.5 days. I've had my F3 for almost a year, so the battery life is a little less than it used to be, but nothing major. How about the software on each device? This is the category where the phones are the most different, and I totally prefer Realme UI. With the Realme, when you look for specific settings, they're easy to find. It lets you use third-party launchers with navigation gestures, and I haven't really found any bugs. MIUI on the F3, just not my favorite. To be fair, the MIUI for Poco OS that runs on the F3 has improved over time, and I can't really find any bugs at this point, but it's still often unintuitive, restrictive in terms of using third-party launchers with gesture navigation, and it even lacks a vertical recent apps menu. In 2022, there are workarounds that can almost get things up and running in a similar way to Realme UI. In fact, I made a video on how to enable 2 of those important features, and I'll link it in the description. But you should not have to do that just to use your device the way you want. Both phones are running Android 12 and will likely get Android 13 next year, but that's probably the last of the major platform updates. One annoyance with the GT Master though, in order to receive any software updates, I had to use a VPN and pick a server in the Netherlands. Then the OTA updates arrived as usual. 2 more things. If you want to use the GT Master in the States, you're out of luck. It does not have voice over LTE support from T-Mobile or AT&T, and with the shutdown of both carriers' 3G networks, you won't be able to make voice calls any longer. Lastly, I prefer the smaller size of the GT Master. Much easier to hold and use one-handed, and it's lighter. Combine that with the quick in-display fingerprint sensor, and it's an easier phone for me to handle than the F3. With the arrival of the F4, you might be thinking it's a better option, and though I haven't had the chance to try it myself, it doesn't look to be worth the extra $100 to $200 US unless you really want a slightly better camera, faster charging, and more OS updates. If you think the Poco F3 or the Realme GT Master Edition is the right phone for you, you should check out Wireless Place, since they have Poco and Realme devices, as well as phones from Xiaomi, OnePlus, Samsung, and more. I've bought a few phones from Wireless Place, and they always ship fast and internationally, have great prices, plus they include a US adapter for the charger if you need it. Please use my discount code PC10 when you check out, if you want to support the channel or just want to save a little money. A link to the site is in the description. Please subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and feel free to comment with any questions you might have, and I will answer them perfectly. I'm like an answering machine.